With Death Stranding 2 set to come out sometime in 2025, I decided to give the original game a shot so I knew what to expect going into the new release. I viewed Death Stranding from a distance when it released and laughed at its controversies and critiques, but as years have gone on, it seems a lot of players have turned around on this game and said it was actually quite good. This divide between people's view of the game confused me. How could so many people who beat the game say it's good while so many people who didn't beat the game say it's the worst thing ever? The gameplay of Death Stranding is built on a very simple premise: deliver packages. You must consider the tools you bring along to deal with rough terrain and enemies in addition to the packages for the orders you take. If you're underprepared, you'll end up in a bad situation. If you're overprepared, your character will be slowed down by the weight of the load he is carrying. Death Stranding is a game of logistics and optimization, effectively utilizing your equipment to set yourself up for success while also managing resources to restore infrastructure. Frequently traveled paths will become worn down, other players' structures will become usable in your world. When you deliver enough packages to someone, they will like you enough to give you their Wi-Fi password, and their resources and territory become available for you to construct things that make navigation easier, as well as potentially giving you a new tool to aid your efforts. Despite a straightforward gameplay, Death Stranding's downsides present themselves immediately. Your character stumbles around on nothing and gets over-encumbered easily. You have no tools to deal with enemies, no vehicles, and no fast travel. The first 10 to 15 hours of Death Stranding is very much a comically boring walking and hiding simulator. The tools you unlock are drip-fed you at a painstakingly slow pace as you trudge through the story, and right as you begin to feel you've found your footing, you are swept away to a completely different map where you have to start from scratch once again. Even when the game begins to hit its stride, every cool thing you get comes with some unnecessary inconvenience. You get vehicles, but they get bullied by terrain and a small pebble brings you at a complete stop. Death Stranding's story is centered around appreciating life and the people you share ties with. Everything is themed around characters connecting with other characters and how that forms the backbone of a happy and prosperous society, and how Sam is the one who will bring that society to fruition. Even disregarding the plethora of NPCs who exist to give out orders, most of the main characters flopped or didn't have any substantial development for the first 70% of the story. They primarily exist to either give you orders or stand around explaining plot devices. Kojima has always had abstract characters in his games, but what made his storytelling iconic was the depth those characters had. Just look at characters like Quiet, Revolver Ocelot, Psycho Mantis.
Psycho Mantis.
Anybody can make an abstract character, but if that character has no depth, it will become very obvious once they start talking.
You are damaged goods.
And let me tell you, people love talking in this game. Death Stranding takes around 40 hours to beat the story, and if you look online, the cutscene compilations clock in at around 11 hours. Let's take fast traveling for example. You have to walk up to the terminal, select that you want to go to your room, watch the elevator cutscene, watch Sam falling asleep cutscene, watch blood transfusion cutscene. Select fast travel, pick where you want to go, watch the summoning cutscene, watch the teleport cutscene, select you want to leave your room, watch the getting up cutscene, watch the elevator cutscene, now you're out. This game is a pacing nightmare. Every design decision feels like it exists to slow the player down. Maybe it's because I was playing on the hardest difficulty, but the game made me feel like I shouldn't beat it. Every time progress was made, it felt like the game added a new roadblock to take away from the feeling of accomplishment. I spent all this time mastering the hand-to-hand combat system so I can fight terrorist bases. Guess what? 20-something hours into the game, they give every enemy guns, so hand-to-hand combat becomes useless. When you finally unlock guns, the game gives enemies turrets with shields on them so you can't shoot them. Newton's third law is not a valid game design principle. Compare this to a game like Fallout 4. This game gives you a powerful armor set and one of the best guns in the game, then pits you against one of the most powerful boss enemies in the game, all within the first 5 hours of playtime. It gives the player a sense of wonder about its future. It makes you say, if I'm getting all this cool stuff early, I bet there's tons of other cool stuff for me to discover. Death Stranding doesn't give you a reason to continue playing it, and unless you're invested in something outside of raw gameplay, there is no reason to finish it. If I wasn't invested in making this review video, like and subscribe, there is a 100% chance I would have quit out early. I pushed myself through this dumpster fire for 45 hours just so I could say I beat the story mode. So how exactly did I end up with 80 hours of playtime?
Well, That is delicious. Finally, some good fucking food.
I wouldn't say that Death Stranding has a lot of endgame content. It's more so that the game conditions you to burn through the story as quickly as possible, so you steadily build up this insane backlog of side quests. Once the story is done, there is no main mission, so the world is free for you to do whatever you want. Simply put, endgame Death Stranding is awesome. You get to go wherever you want, whenever you want. You got all the vehicles and roads and zip lines and weapons you could ever need. All the bases and shelters you've spent the last 40 hours unlocking have a reputation tied to them, and each level gained offers new upgrades and resources. The feeling of exploring the world and restoring infrastructure to usher forth a new age of society is felt in every fiber of your being as you zoom around everywhere. Deliver a package here, pick up 2 more packages, deliver one of those packages, pick up 3 more. You pull up on a terrorist base, put them all to sleep, pillage the compound, and laugh your way to the bank. Oh shoot, I gotta climb this snowy mountain. Zipline time. Bzzz. See, this is what Death Stranding should be. Not dragging yourself through the world, but overpowering and reshaping it to your liking. That's the point of logistics. You deliver so many packages that you get showered in upgrades. There's a reason why these open world conqueror games like Legend of Zelda and Far Cry do so well, and it's because instead of adding roadblocks to exploration, they remove every one that isn't necessary to the storyline. After the strong initial criticisms of Death Stranding, Kojima addressed them, saying that Americans do not understand Death Stranding because they like first-person shooters. I definitely walked into that one by drawing comparisons to Fallout 4, and of course I can't forget to mention how American shows like the Game Awards cast aside Death Stranding and instead gave Game of the Year to a first-person shooter like Sekiro. Wait, I thought we were all on the same page that graphics and fancy cutscenes don't make good games, but when I look at reviews, people can't seem to shut up about the game's look and audio while also putting zero effort into discussing the actual gameplay, or even worse, admitting the gameplay is weak and then trying to convince me that the gameplay doesn't matter because Death Stranding is actually a story game. Final verdict. This game is terrible, except when it isn't. When it isn't terrible, it's awesome. But most of the time it's terrible. 5 out of 10.